Right now at noon, we are tracking the chance for some severe weather this weekend. Exact timing in the full forecast.
Plus, why President Trump says he's expecting Russian President Putin to come back to the negotiating table soon. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Spreiter. First Warn Weather leads us off at this hour. Today's hot and steamy conditions will give way to storm chances this weekend. First Warn meteorologist Blaze Keller is tracking it all for us. Hi, Blaze.
Hello, that's right. We traded that smoke for the humidity. That's why our dew points at this hour in the upper 60s to low 70s. We're already approaching 90 in the Madison area. It already feels like it with those added dew points and these breezy southwesterly winds. Partly sunny conditions. The humidity is going to help fuel the chance for some severe weather as we head into the weekend. Now, smoke is moving back into the picture out of parts of Minnesota and Iowa. The thickest smoke now stretching from Camp Douglas all the way back south and west into Prairie du Chien along the Mississippi River. However, our air quality is still good, even where that thick smoke is. I just want to highlight that. Good. A lot of green across central and southern Wisconsin. Actually, poor air quality off towards southern parts of Rock County, Janesville, Walworth County, and off towards Milwaukee. The reason why we're not underneath an air quality alert and why our air quality is likely going to stay good is because it's breezy outside. So we can thank those southerly winds for keeping the atmosphere moving and keeping that smoke moving right along. But that southerly flow is bringing in humidity, instability, which is why we could be dealing with some severe weather, strong winds and especially large hail as we head into Saturday afternoon into the evening. We're going to track out the exact timing coming up in the full forecast, Josh. And the rain chances don't stop there. So we're going to track out those rain chances too after the weekend in the full forecast.
You know, we were so used to having rain for so long.
I know. It has been dry. We could use a little rain.
All right, Blaze. Thank you. Track the core forecast for yourself on the First Warn Weather app with hourly planners and radar. You can download it for free by searching WISC Weather. Well, you may have just heard or maybe now hearing the tornado sirens outside, but there's no need to worry. Dane County is testing the system after its regular test on Wednesday failed. 144 sirens did not work, and county officials have yet to say what caused the technical issue. Emergency communications leaders say if there is a tornado warning, they still have a way to sound the sirens.
We have a 24/7 duty officer who is plugged into that system, knows how it operates, knows how to manually trigger any of the alerts that might need to be done.
Everything is operated locally at a main control room in Fitchburg, backup sites, and a web-based platform. Right now, one man is dead after a crash in Fitchburg. Officers were sent to South Seminole Highway for a report of a two-vehicle crash around 5:20 last night. They learned a motorcycle collided with an SUV. The driver of that motorcycle, a 54-year-old Verona man, was taken to a hospital with life-threatening injuries, where he later died. We now know the identity of a Baraboo woman who died after a crash with a deer. The Sauk County Sheriff's Office says it was 29-year-old Brianna Espinoza White. The crash happened Wednesday night on Highway 33 near the Highway X intersection. Investigators say another car hit a deer, which then smashed through her windshield and caused her to crash into a house. That home is damaged, but nobody was inside at the time of that crash. Today is the deadline President Trump set for Russia to reach a ceasefire deal with Ukraine or face the consequences. Tareen Small has the latest from the White House.
President Trump expressed his displeasure with Russian President Vladimir Putin ahead of today's deadline to either end the war with Ukraine or face new sanctions.
We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed.
The Trump administration already announced a 25% tariff on India for doing business with Moscow, bringing that total tariff percentage to 50%. Still, the president says he's open to meeting with Putin after the Russian leader suggested the two could hold in-person talks as soon as next week.
They would like to meet with me, and I'll do whatever I can to stop the killing.
President Trump said he's open to meeting with Putin without Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who said his country must be a part of any conversations about ending the war. In the Middle East, there's been an escalation of the war in Gaza. Israel's security cabinet signed off on plans to take over Gaza City, threatening to deepen the humanitarian crisis there. The move has sparked an outcry among many world leaders, but U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee had this to say.
It's not our job to tell them what they should or should not do. Thursday, relatives of hostages taken by Hamas sailed off the coast of Gaza in protest, saying the military offensive put their loved ones in even more danger. Torian Small, CBS News, the White House.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing to take over all of Gaza, although he says Israel does not want to govern it. It wants to hold it over to a civilian government that is not controlled by Hamas or the Palestinian Authority. Well, in just a few hours, construction crews are set to begin pouring a new sidewalk along Nakoma Road in Madison, but that work will block people from getting in and out of their driveways. While the work is going on, the Madison Engineering Department is going to open up nearby restricted areas for people to park. Currently, only one sidewalk exists on the major artery for the city's west side, but once completed, it will add a second sidewalk to help families get safely to Thoreau Elementary School. Neighbors say the new construction may help save lives.
There hasn't been a sidewalk. The elementary school's right across the street. And so even when my children were growing up, it was like Frogger trying to cross the street for them. And I think it'll make it safer.
City officials expect that project to be completed in early fall. More First Warn traffic notes this weekend. On Saturday, the Madison Mini Marathon will affect multiple streets in the downtown and Arboretum areas. There are two races, a half marathon and 5K. Here's a look at the half marathon route. Local access will be maintained along the route. Traffic control will be removed following the last runner at each location. This will also impact several bus routes. That information is on the City of Madison website. The event starts at 7 and is expected to end around noon. Then on Sunday, over 2 miles of Madison's downtown streets will close for Ride the Drive. Roads will be closed to motor vehicles so that walking, cycling, and other forms of non-motorized transportation can be enjoyed right in the heart of the city. Streets will close at 9 a.m. and will be closed until 3 p.m. on Sunday. John Nolan Drive will close from Olin Avenue to the South Blair-Willie Street intersection. Meanwhile, Willie Street will close from South Blair Street to the South Ingersoll Street intersection. Vehicles must be removed from those closed streets by 8 a.m. on Sunday. You can find everything about these closures on channel3000.com. Coming up next on News 3 Now at noon, what cars are at the top of the list for thieves, plus why a newly signed executive order could ease the path for 401k private investments.
President Trump has signed an executive order that could open the door for millions of Americans to add cryptocurrency, real estate, and private equity investments to their 401ks. The order directs the Labor Department and other agencies to redefine what would be considered a qualified asset, though experts warn the process to rewrite the regulations could take months. Bitcoin jumped 2% yesterday after the news. A new version of ChatGPT has arrived. Maker OpenAI says ChatGPT-5 will offer more accurate responses in less time compared to previous models, calling it their smartest, fastest, and most useful model yet. The company says the new version of the chatbot also excels at coding and answering health-related questions. And a new report says American muscle cars are a top target for car thieves. The Highway Loss Data Institute found that the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, which retails for more than $75,000, is 39 times more likely to be stolen compared to all other vehicles from model years 2022 to 2024. According to the report, even lower performance versions of the Camaro are 13 times more likely to be stolen compared to other vehicles. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Carissa Lawson.
Here's a look at the stock market at the noon hour. The Dow's up 173 points, Nasdaq up 166, and the S&P 500 up this hour 47. Our Call for Action volunteers are in the building taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. Call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call for action. Hey, Pam Yankee returns next with the farm numbers, and Blaze has the weekend forecast, and later on live at 4. Get ready to ride the drive. We talked to Madison Parks about the best way to enjoy the summer staple event. Welcome back. Let's check in now with Pam Yankee, who returns from her Canadian Rockies farm tour. Missed you, Pam.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just the Rockies, sweetie. It was also the Wisconsin State Fair and a couple other events tossed in for good measure. But it was a wonderful stretch of weather up in Canada. I think they sent all their smoke to Wisconsin while we were up there. And then the Wisconsin State Fair, as well as Wisconsin Farm Technology Days, took up my time since I've been back. In fact, let's take a look at some of the beautiful animals that were on display at the Wisconsin State Fair. But first, we start with scholarship winners. You know, people get real caught up on the big numbers from the Governor's Blue Ribbon Livestock Auction, but they forget more than $55,000 in scholarships were presented to kids before the show started, an additional $30,000 in monies that helped to support the State Fair Junior Exhibitor Showmanship, the Knowledge Masters Showman, and Reserve Champion Awards at Wisconsin State Fair. So although the numbers may be impressive as far as the animals, it's really all about the kids. And let's take a look at the animals. This is your Grand Champion Market Steer, exhibited by a young woman from Woodville, Wisconsin, purchased for $35,000 by Kenosha Beef. Her name was Josie Lawrence, and she was pretty happy and a beautiful steer on Wednesday evening. Then the Grand Champion Hog came from Franksville. Amanda Miklazowski exhibited that crossbred hog. $22,500 for that pig. And the Grand Champion Market Lamb came from Waniwak. Sydney Cherney had a Hampshire lamb that took the best of show. $20,000 that lamb brought, purchased by Meyer Company. So a lot of bidders that were in there big time for the show. In total, they tell me that the Governor's Blue Ribbon Livestock Auction raised more than $381,000 total. And again, remember, a big portion of that money goes right back to the scholarship funds for next year and to support kind of the continuing education situation for those young people, whether they're at State Fair Park or not. Remember, the Wisconsin State Fair continues through the weekend, wraps up on Sunday afternoon. One area I want to advise you to take a look at, Dairy Lane, where this weekend they are going to have bilingual educational sessions for kids that want to learn more about Wisconsin's dairy industry. And also, don't forget the Ag Products Pavilion if you want to sample some of our great Wisconsin goods straight from the farmers that produce it. That's through the weekend. Kind of mixed today on dairy product prices. Barrel cheese up a quarter at $1.79 3/4. 40-pound block cheese up 2.5 at $1.85. But the AA butter, that dropped 4.5 cents to $2.35.5 per pound. So that's as much as I can get in the little bag today, Josh. Next week we'll show some more pictures from the Canadian farm tour. That was just a lot of fun, from Calgary to Banff, Jasper to Vancouver, Vancouver Island home. A lot of different pictures that I'll share with you front part of next week.
Boy, you've been busy, and you've got your green and gold on a Friday, that time of your returns.
That's right. Perfect. I'm on my way up there now. Go Pack, go.
All right, Pam. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend. Well, there is a treat in the sky for many Americans this weekend. The northern lights should be visible for those living in Wisconsin. Geomagnetic activity could trigger the aurora borealis in as many as 15 states tomorrow. That's the forecast from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The best time to see the northern lights is close to midnight. And for the most optimum experience, find a dark location away from city lights. NOAA has detailed graphics dashboard page on its website that can help pinpoint where and when the light display can be seen. If the colorful lights aren't apparent to the naked eye, sensors and cameras and cell phones can also pick them up. Well, get your binoculars ready. You'll also be able to catch a glimpse of the August full moon tonight. Earth Sky says it will be at its fullest around 2:55 a.m. Saturday. If getting up in the wee hours isn't for you, no worries. A NASA scientist says it will appear to be full for a few days. The August full moon is also known as the sturgeon moon because it marks the time of year when sturgeon fish are most readily caught. Learning some new things today. All right, we're tracking the chance for storms this weekend. Here's meteorologist Blaze Keller with the first warn forecast. Hi again, Blaze.
Hello. Unfortunately, we may be dealing with some cloud cover as we go into Saturday night, so the northern lights may be a little bit tougher to see, at least here. We'll track it out in just a moment, but we are going to continue to stay hot and humid as we go not only into the rest of the day, Saturday, but really into next week, despite the fact that a cold front is going to move through parts of Wisconsin tomorrow and bring us that chance for severe weather into the afternoon. It's not really going to dry us out. It may cool us down a little bit, but in terms of humidity, those dew points are still going to stay high. So in the yellow, that's where we find a slight risk or more scattered chances for showers, severe weather, I should say. And then in the green, that's our marginal risk. That's where we have a more isolated chance. So not everybody is going to see that severe weather threat. Let's take a big picture and then bring it closer to home. So here's a cold front moving through parts of Wisconsin as we go into the morning hours. So don't be shocked, especially further north and west, if you're waking up to rumbles of thunder. The morning activity likely won't pose a severe weather problem, but we're going to see how quickly we can clear out that cloud cover because that cold front is going to slowly push its way south and eastward. It's going to be the forcing mechanism for these showers and thunderstorms into the afternoon, but we really need to clear out the cloud cover, and that's going to help get the atmosphere back to being unstable. If we are able to do that, we'll watch as another line of showers and thunderstorms develop, and then that cold front stalls out. It essentially just kind of falls apart as it moves south and eastward, but it's still going to help draw in more moisture as we go overnight into Sunday. So again, that's probably why we're likely not going to be able to see the northern lights here across central and southern Wisconsin Saturday night, because more of that cloud cover moves on in for Sunday, bringing with it more showers and thunderstorms. That activity on Sunday, not expected to be severe, but it's going to bring that heavy rain, which could cause some minor flooding issues. So there's a look at Saturday morning, dealing with scattered showers and thunderstorms. Again, likely not going to be severe, but maybe some strong winds and some small hail is going to be possible. We're going to watch to see again how much cloud cover we can hold off as we go into the early afternoon. I would say if it's 1, noon, maybe as late as 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's still somewhat cloudy, especially across central and southern Wisconsin, our chance for severe weather will be lessened. It's not going to go away completely, but it will be lessened. If we see more sunshine, then we'll likely see what Future Track is planning here, which is more of a robust line of showers and thunderstorms. Some of those could be severe, again, bringing with it that threat for hail as well as strong winds. Strong winds are definitely going to be our greatest threat over Saturday afternoon, followed then by hail and heavy rains. Can't rule out a weak spin up, but the environment isn't really great for an isolated weak tornado, which is some good news. There's a look at our 7-day estimated rain totals. This is likely going to fall actually over the weekend. You can see those oranges encompassing a lot of the News 3 Now coverage area. And if you look at the legend on to the left of the screen, that's isolated spots of 3, maybe 4 inches of rain. So now is the time, if you live in an area that's prone to maybe some minor flooding, basement floods, the road floods, clear out the drains, get the sub pumps ready so that you're not having to deal with that standing water. And as I mentioned, even though that cold front passes through the weekend, our dew points really don't drop off or become less sticky until we go into the middle of next week. So despite the fact that temperatures cool off, Josh and folks at home, it is still going to be humid as we go into next week, but all eyes are on that chance Saturday afternoon. I'll be in keeping you guys updated, but again, strong winds are likely going to be our greatest threats.
All right, Blaze, thank you for tracking it. Now let's see what Howard's cooking up in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Are you ready for a creamy mac and cheese that's smoking good? If you are, today's your lucky day. The other day, I went to this little barbecue joint and got a side of mac and cheese to go with my pulled pork. I know, that alone sounds amazing. But what made it really great was the fact that the mac and cheese was smoked right alongside the pork. Since we all don't have smokers, we came up with a version that's, well, you'll have to try it to appreciate how smoky good it is. We start by cooking some macaroni according to the package directions and draining it really well. While this drains, we add some flour to melted butter and let that cook until it's golden. Then we slowly stir in some milk. Once it starts to thicken up, we take it off the heat and stir in some cream cheese along with a bit of salt and pepper. Next, we pour this over our pasta that we mix with some shredded cheddar, smoked Gouda, and a good amount of Parmesan cheese. Now, if you have a smoker, spoon this into a foil pan and in it goes. Otherwise, you can bake it in a 9x13 pan right in your oven. Either way, right before serving it, add a little more cheese on top. Creamy, yes. Smoky, You bet. Thanks to the Gouda and the smoker. To get the recipe for our 4-cheese smoked macaroni and cheese, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a smoking good way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Blaze here now with a final check of your forecast.
Yes, it's going to be a breezy, hot, and humid end to the work week, and then we get ready for maybe some severe weather on Saturday. A marginal and slight risk with strong winds, heavy rain, and hail as the main threats Saturday afternoon, overnight into Sunday. Josh, the humidity and folks at home, it sticks around throughout all of next week, but temperatures will cool off a little bit starting Sunday. Will remain in the low 80s as we head into next week as well.
Blaze, thank you. Thanks for watching News 3 Now at noon. We're back with more live at 4 and always on at channel3000.com.